Hello once again and welcome on this Monday afternoon for some Monday Manners with me. I'm sorry a little bit later today, we've got another show before it with Tony, so if you haven't already caught that, go back and have a watch that, it's brilliant. I'll just introduce myself for anybody who's not met me. My name's Simon Williamson and I'm here from Ink Designs, and welcome to anybody who's joining us, wherever you are in the world as well. So welcome. I can see lots of people already logging on. If you do also want to hit the like and subscribe button, you'll be kept informed of any notifications as well of any news like today's show. If it changed, you'll get a notification and you'll not miss it. And as always, they're always available on the HTCN YouTube page, so you can always go back and watch whatever you'd like to for some inspiration using all our lovely products. So hello everybody, let's have a look who we've got on then. We've got Anon, Amanda, hi Tracy, hi Elaine, Irene. There's lots of you, that's lovely. At least you found me then anyway. So I thought today we'd start off with a really nice quick card. I'm using one of the original collections, the Dinosaurs. So I thought this is a really lovely one to start with. And it just shows you what we can do with those little dies that you get in there, the little footprints. So you can see we're going to use it to use a stencil and also to give some texture on this little panel in there. So let's get started with this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got my little strip cut of card. I'm going to be using this one to actually create that banner from. And I'm going to just get my die cutting plates. And what I've done is to keep all these in some kind of order, I've put all the little dies together, look, so you can see they're all in pairs on this piece of blue tape. And I've purposely made sure that the blue tape leaves open, exposed areas. And that'll mean you can use your pokey tool to just release any that you want to. So I've already started cutting some, but this is what we're going to do, look. So I'm just going to position this onto this piece of card. Give that a good push down so it doesn't slip. And we just turn this over so it's a slightly different cutting plate, this one. And we'll pop that through. And we'll get all those little paw prints cut out then. How are we all doing then? I wonder where we're all from this week. We had some further afield last week, didn't we? Some in America and I think it was somewhere Greece, I think it was. So I'll just lift this up. And then we can just release those out. Just take that tape off, it'll help it release a little bit faster. We'll need longer nails to get this started, there we go. So you can see, not only have we got our little inserts to play around with, we've created a really good stencil which we can use on our project, and we're going to be using this as well. So let me keep that to one side. Just going to move these plates out of the way. And I'll just pop these through. A little bit fiddly. But a really good way to use up them little bits that you get in your kits. I know quite often we get like little flower heads, don't we? So you could use this technique with those. Just get the last few out. You can tell it's a new cutting machine, so it really pushes it down well. There we go, I'll leave them now, I've got some extras anyway. So I've already cut a few more anyway for today, so we'll just tip those out. And then I'm just going to use the glue, I'm going to put these into some kind of random pattern really, so they're not all facing the same way. And that's going to build up that kind of texture pal that we're going to be using. So I'm just going to put some random blobs down. And then quite simply, just going to place these die cuts on top of that, all facing different directions. Start with the bigger ones first, then we can use the smaller ones to fill in afterwards. And I don't mind if they lift up a little bit as well, so I think it adds to the kind of texture, so I'm just going to put a little bit. Nice and little ones over there. Then we'll have just building it up. You can always fill out your little gaps later. You don't need much glue on this as well, just keep it going. Just make some little bit more glue on there. Get some of these tiny ones coming in now, look. New. And the thing is, you can cut all these ahead of time, can't you, and keep them to one side. And then this way you can colour coordinate your card to the colour that you want to make that day. I'm just going to put that one up there. I've just got some areas here that I just want to make sure we've got a tiny little pour in. So one there. This one can face outwards. And then let's have a big one in that little gap in the centre, just to fill it up a little bit more. And then one down here, I think. And obviously you could spend more time at home doing this. There you go, I'm quite happy with that, I think. I'm just going to check on my card that I'm going to get all the coverage I need. So that's absolutely fine. I think I might just squeeze one more in just up here. There we go. So it doesn't look much now, does it? But all we've got is like our white elements all glued onto our panel. If I just tilt that a little bit that way, I think you probably see that better. So you can see you've just got a little bit of texture going on there. And then we've got this background element where we cut out. We're going to use this as a stencil just to build up this quick card. So first of all, I'm just going to put some towel down. I'm going to be using the eye zinc sprays. And I don't want to make a mess of the counter. So I brought the eye zinc green and the orange, and these are the ones with the shine in there. So I've got a little bit of mica in the bottom. So if you give them a good shake, it'll just activate that up. And you can see all that pearlescent at the bottom. So just make sure you're mixing that up and then you'll get the full effect. Just turn that one around. Okay, so let's start with our card blank first of all. I'm going to use this overlay to give a little bit of texture towards the top. I want to cover the bottom bit up so we don't spray the other bit of card. And we'll start with a green. I'm just going to go from a height so we can get a nice bit of coverage on there. I'm going to mix in a bit of that orange. And I'm just going to lift that up and we'll swap it to the other side of the card. So just gives us a nice bit of an abstract kind of print going on down there, doesn't it? I'm just going to loosely put that over there. And then we can do the same for this side. So we'll give it a good spray. And I'll bring the orange back in. Lift that off. And I'm not too bothered if there's like a join line in the centre, because we're going to be covering that up in a minute. So I'm just going to quickly get rid of that so it doesn't stain anything. And then to move that off there. Look at that, I'm tidy today. Let's get the heat gun. I'm going to give this a blast with a heat gun so it dries off. We'll just give that a chance. It does dry quite fast, these actual pigments. They do soak in well. And it leaves you a lovely light lustre behind as well with that mica. Just dry down this bit. That's lovely. And then I'm going to put that to one side while we do the rest of the card. So I'm just going to bring a bit more of that towel in now. I've just changed it over mainly because it will wet through that other one. I didn't want to actually contaminate the colours. So I've got our lovely panel now. And what we're going to do on this is we're going to give some more colour. We're going to concentrate a little bit more, giving this a deeper colour. So let's start with the green. And go a little bit heavier that way. And then we'll go from the orange from the other side. So it kind of mixes towards the centre. That looks good to me. We'll just bring the heat gun in. We might as well keep it there while we dry it a little bit. Just give it a quick blast. You can move it around with the heat gun as well if you want to make sure it goes around them little prints. I'll glue that one back on in a minute. Just make sure it's taking that colour in. I also like as well with a heat gun, it makes them curl up a little bit so you get a little bit more texture. So if you don't want that to happen, obviously just put some more glue on or allow it to set first, but I quite like this effect. There we go. And we'll just pop that little foot back on that we just blew off with a heat gun. There we go. So if I bring up my stamping platform, so I'm going to actually put my sentiment directly onto my card blank now. So I'm going to put this on so that I know where to position the rest of the cards. So let's get this held down securely. I love this Eureka, I've got to say. It's the best tool I've ever invested in, ever. And I think we'll go for Happy Birthday, You Old Dinosaur right at the bottom of this. So we'll just pick that up. And I'll just grab my black ink pad. Oh, just 2 seconds while I grab that. There we go. And I love like a really crisp sentiment, so really black makes it pop. Do it twice to make sure we get all that kind of detail. Oh, I'm loving them colours already. So I'll just pop that back out and take that stamp off. How are we all doing today anyway? It's been a lovely little heat wave here in the UK, hasn't it? It's really kind of like, give us a taste for summer. Okay, so let's have a look. So I'm going to mount this onto the green strip first of all. And this is just going to give us a nice kind of border just to kind of just take that detail and make it pop a little bit more. So let's get some wet glue onto there. And pop that across there. Let's give that time to grab. And then we can then position this where we want it on our card and which direction. So I think we're going to go this way for this one. We'll use wet glue again. Just put a little bit of that on. And then we'll just pop that across there. Give that a push down. And while that's just grabbing, I've got my scissors. So I'm just going to just trim that so it's level with my card blank. Now this was glued all those little components on. Normally let that just dry first, then they won't drop off, but we're just going to follow that round. Ooh, just that little bit there. And that you can see gives us a really nice base for our card. So on this one, I've done it directly onto the card blank just so that you don't have to mat and layer, and on the original I just actually did it on a mat and layer. Just you can see there's a slight difference, you've got a border on there. So it really does work both ways, so you go with what you're comfortable doing. So that's that one, and then we need our little character to go in the centre, so let's get one of our friendly dinosaurs back out. I love this one, it just looks like he's on a mission to just carry on walking. Just plodding along, isn't he? So I'll pop him up there. I'm going to do black ink as well on this one, just so we get a nice crisp image, and then we're going to add a little bit of colour with our watercolours in a second. Give that a nice push down. I think we've got a good image there, so we don't need to do it again. Look, all the detail on that dinosaur is lovely. It's got a really happy face as well, hasn't it? So let's bring in some watercolours now to give a little bit of depth to him. Here we go. So Janet and Dave are now watching. Hi Janet and Dave, thanks for joining. Great idea for one of the dies created stencils. Yeah, it's a good idea, isn't it? Just to like create your own stencils, and it's unique then. Nobody else is going to have them on the market, so it's a good way of just using your stash, making it go further. I'm just going to move this stamping platform up. I can do it a little bit easier for you to see then. So let's get some of this lovely green on first. So let's get some of that onto these little spikes on its back almost. So I'm just going to add more of a wash over this image like I normally do, and then go back to give a little bit more detail where we need it. So I'm going to do the ones at the front a little bit lighter. And we use the same green for his body. I always use the card like a palette next to it as well, then you can make sure it's not going to be too runny or thick. Just brush that down into his legs. And then I think we'll go in with this slightly deeper green colour from this palette, and they'll still contrast well together. And we'll do those at the background just to give a little bit of depth. Just fill them in. And this little bit on his back, this bit of detail. And you can add as much detail as you want. You could also do like clashing colours so it really stands out. But I quite like these greens together, and I think dinosaurs traditionally are green, so it's a good starting point if you're having a play. Just call that little Lego. And then if you want to mix your paint a little bit thicker, you could also then just use these lines in the stamp to pick out some kind of definition really. So it's a good place to put that darker kind of tone. It'll make it a little bit more 3D. Just going to make that slightly darker so you can see it a bit better. There you go. So just follow those lines. I'll do the same with the lighter green. I'll just darken it slightly. And then we can just add a little bit more definition around its tummy. Makes them look a bit more 3D than that way. And under his little chinlet. And I'm just going to add a little bit more of that darker colour, just so there's little spikes on his back. And that'll just darken them areas out. Just so it's not as flat really, the image. And there we go. So let's give that a quick blast with a heat gun just to make sure it's all dried. So if you've got any questions, just put QQQ and then I'll not miss anybody's comments then. And I'm just going to bring out my die that corresponds with this one. I keep having to get used to using this new die cutting, because I always cut downwards where this one cuts up. So let me just put that there, and I'll just get a little bit of masking tape so we know that it's going to be in position for when this cuts through. Tack that into place. There we go. And then that goes down. And the magnetic trim holds it in place. It's really handy actually, but you've got a lot more confidence when it's this way. And we'll just pop that through. We was going to the craft fair this weekend at the Wirral. Stamping together, it's brilliant. I can't wait for it. It's going to be on this Saturday, so if you are going to be going, come and say hi to me. And everybody's welcome. Even if you live abroad, if you want to fly over, we'll welcome you with a cup of tea. So let's take that tape off. Here we go. We've got our lovely dinosaur image now, and that little white edge really makes it pop. So let's bring our card blank back in that we've made. And I think a simple foam pad's going to be enough for this. So we'll just pop that on its back. Just try and get this back in off. Ooh. Let me get my pokey tool a second. Oh, do you know, we always fight, don't we, me and this backing. There we go. I think we can have him walking downhill on that little panel that we've made. Oh, I'm really happy with that. A lovely use of all them sprays as well. It really brings that card together. And them orange and greens make it really vibrant as well. So have a go at home as well and make your own stencils. Just adds a little bit more detail, doesn't it? It's a really easy thing. And also your stencil, once you've used them, keep them, you can always use them again, because they'll always dry out. So it's perfect kind of like sustainable kind of crafting go range for you. And I'll meet back in a couple of minutes with my next demo, which is a little bit Easter themed, so tune in for that and we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Hi, my name's Simon Williamson and a guest demonstrator for Avago Ink Designs. Avago Inks is it's basically images that we can put together so anybody can have a go. I think I love the most about crafting is it can just give you time out in your own head. It can just down tools, not think about your mobile phone and just enjoy what you're going to do, create a project and be proud of what you've made. My inspiration comes really from lots of sources. I love looking at current trends, I like looking through the internet, and I like looking at what other people make, and I think truly inspiration comes from picking bits out of everything you see, pull it all together and make it something that you can do with your skills. Avago products, we've got 3 collections out at the moment. We've got as Dinosaur range, as Farmyard range, and as Little Owl collection. And the main crux of the actual designs is there's a big image there, little characters you can play around, have fun, and there's always some puns in there as well, so you can liven up the card and make it a bit humorous for everybody. I think if you're thinking about trying one of our products, is don't be afraid. Just buy any of the kits that you feel like you want to, and you'll always create a really good card from there. There's some good characters, good sentiments, and some really fun images in there. So just grab one and have a go. And welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little VT. I can see by the comments that you really enjoyed that, so that's nice. I'm glad that you appreciate that, and I'm sure it's something you could have a go yourself with and transform to stamps that you already own. And thanks for joining us again. I can see people are tuning in from America as well, so welcome to the USA audience as well. So our next card, I thought would have a bit of Easter fun really, and I thought this is a lovely way of making your own Easter card. I've got some nice big Easter eggs in there, because obviously we don't have an Easter sentiment. It just proves that you don't need, I'll just move it that way a bit for you. You don't need a sentiment all the time. So there's 3 big Easter eggs with our little dinosaurs cracking out of them. It's a really simple card to make this one, and I know that we've not all got egg dye, so I'm going to show you how to get that egg shape as well using the stash that you've already got. So let's start off with making the egg shape. So what I did first of all is I got one of my circular dies out, just so it's big enough for the base of the actual egg. And you're going to start off by just drawing around that really. So I'll use a pencil, just hold that in place. And it just shows you that these are more versatile than just cutting a circle. So you draw around your actual circle like that, and then you're just going to fix a point there you want the point of the egg to be. So let's go up to there, I think. And then we're just going to freehand just take that round there. And then we're going to bring it back down the other side now to match. So there we go. So that's how we got his egg shape. And then cut that one out, and you can replicate that, and you've got the same then across all your designs. So ahead of time, I have made it a little bit easy by just cutting some out ready. But it's not too hard, that is it. You've all got a circular die at home, and if you haven't, draw around like a cup or a glass, and you'll be able to get the same kind of effect. So to start off, I've got my DL little card blank, and I'm just going to simply put some blue and some green strips onto there, just so we've got kind of a grass layer and a sky layer, just to kind of put in the background in case there's any white that does show through. So let's get those into place first of all. So we'll go with the blue first. Use a nice tape runner. I wonder who invented tape runners, because they must have made a lot of money by now. There we go, push that down. And then we'll get our little green grass strip. I'm just going to take this way so it's easy to see. Level that up with the edge. And there you go, that's our card blank made. So we've got lovely grass and sky. Don't need to be more complicated than that, because there's not going to be much visible, it's just to fill in the slight white areas. So that's that area. I've then got these eggs, and I've got 3 colours here. So we've got the blue, the yellow and the pink. So we're going to have to decide which order we want to put these in. So I think on this one we're going to go pink in the middle this time. So we'll keep that one to one side. And we're going to decorate these so we know where we're going to do with it. So I'm just going to get my stencil. This is one of the original stencils that we launched for the Dinosaur collection, so it's a little bit retro really versatile, but we're going to use it for the eggs on this occasion, so I think it's going to work really well. So let's pop that down in a direction that we're happy with. And then I brought 3 colours with me today from the Eyes Ink collection. I've got the Outrima Blue, the Saya Orange and the Grenadine, which is like a reddy, it's almost like a rich red really, it's nice. So let's go with the blue for the blue. Let's move them 2 out of the way. So pick up some ink. You don't need to take this down, I think if you hold it you're absolutely fine. So we're just going to dust that into our egg design. Just brushing it where we want it. Make sure we've got all that detail as we go. It's quite an easy stencil as well, that if you do miss a bit you can lay it back down and you'll still be able to see them areas. So I'm just going to do the same on these lot. And you can also change colours if you want to, but I thought it looked really nice just doing a complementary colour. So we'll just line that back up again. Just down into that bottom bit. There we go. So that's our little blue egg done. And I'm just going to repeat that step now with the other colours. So I've got our pinky ones. Let's do a different direction. We'll go up and down for this one. And then that way they're all going to look different when they come together on the card. So just go with the stencil. It looks quite subtle as well when you're doing it on a stencil, but then when you reveal it, it shows you all the detail. So have a bit of faith in yourself as well. Just do these lower sections. Just make sure we've got that circle in. Push it into those little fine lines. And then we'll lift that off. There we go, that's our pinky one. And then lastly we'll have the yellow, so I think we'll have this one going this way this time. We'll get that square in this one, so we've got a little bit more to break it up. So I'll swap to the other ink pad, which is the orangey colour. I did try yellow, but yellow on yellow didn't really work that well, so I went for the orange. I think it just adds a bit more to it. And it's quite a soft orange as well, so it works well. We just take that round into the bottom sections. Just going to move my hand and brush that across. Oh, it's making me hungry. Should have brought some chocolate eggs, shouldn't I? There we go. So if I lift that up. So it just shows you it's a subtle colour, but it really does pop and it makes them eggs break up a little bit more. And then I'm just going to quickly use the ink pad just so I can get rid of this edge so it's not as harsh. I'm just going to actually edge it by brushing the ink pad around the edge as well. It's a good tip this as well for hiding any cut lines that you've done yourself. So it just kind of like blends it in a little bit more. That's the orangey one. This is the grenadine one. It's like a soft raspberry, isn't it? It's a nice colour. Just take them down that edge. And then finally the little blue one. I do like this blue colour as well. I've used it a lot on the little fish collection that we did. There we go. So it just gives a bit of an edge to these to make them stand out a little bit more for us. So the next thing we're going to need to do is we need to think about where our character's going to be popping out of these eggs from. So whether they're going to be cracking through the actual shell, like this one. You can see it's cracking through the side of the shell. Or if they're actually coming through the top of the shell there. So I think I'm going to keep the kind of like composition the same, where the top one, the middle one, sorry, is going to have the top off and the other ones are coming through the side. So let's have a look at doing that. So I've pink in the middle, and we'll have these at either side like that. So let's start working on these two. So the best thing to do is to think it's going to be popping through this side. So turn it over, and I'm just going to draw like a crack kind of shape coming through. Doesn't have to be exact, just do it where you want it. and then we're going to cut that bit out. So let's just freehand that one. And you don't even have to draw it, you could freehand this one if you wanted to just go for it. I think a lot of crafters though like to make sure it's the right cut. So that's the first bit there, so we'll just leave that there. And then we're going to do the same for the other one. So remember when you flip it over, you're going to draw into this side. So let's just do a cracked one coming out there. Just take that right down there and then up to the top. And then this one we're going to actually just jag across the top so it's like actually coming out. So I'm just going to do this by freehand, so we'll do like that. There we go. We've got top of his egg and there's two side bits there. So these bits I'm not going to use, so I'm going to put them to one side. And then what I've got already is some black kind of mats that I've already cut, and they're going to fill in those bits that are missing on the egg now. So you can see we've got our black layers to go at the back of those two. And that's where our lovely little dinosaur is going to pop out. So now we need to get our dinosaurs in, don't we? So we'll just move them all up a second. And I've already brought some that I've coloured in to make it a little bit faster for us all. So I've got our lovely green one. I've got one that's hanging out there. One for the centre, and then I've got a few rocks there. So let's get some colour onto these two, and then we can complete this like kind of composition. It's a bit of fun this though, isn't it? You could just do it with one egg. I think it'd be a lovely thing to do with your kids. So I think a bit more with this green. We'll just brush that round. We'll just take it around its back. So like I did before, just giving it a wash of green first of all, into its head. And then I'm going to fetch in some of that darker green, just to its feet first. Just mix a bit of that up. I can just use that to just pick out a bit more detail around his back, into his tail. Just where the shadow would naturally be. It just makes him a little bit more three-dimensional. And then his little nostrils, I think. His lip. And just round his cheek. I'm quite happy with that. And I think we're going to do this little character here, but it's going in the middle. I'm just going to avoid the pink. So I think we'll go for like a bluey colour, and that'll really go well with the pink egg. So I'll just mix some of that up. Making very vibrant, this one. I love the faces. They're so happy, aren't they? Someone's put Halls Powell, QQQ John Body invented 1930. Oh, the tape roller. So it's been around a long time then, hasn't it? I thought, I mean, I've always seemed to have one in my stash, but I didn't think it was from 1932. I suppose we've all got one though in the stash, really. They're such an handy thing, especially at Christmas, aren't they? I love a tape runner for wrapping gifts. So I'm just putting that darker colour towards the base, and then just round the top. And I'll just turn this around. I've cut these out as well, but I know some people prefer to cut and then watercolour, but it's nice to have a stash of them uncoloured, then you can adapt them to your own projects. And I'll do the same with this one. Just darken it down a little bit more. And then we'll just take that down under its chin. And there you go. I'll let that dry in a second. And then I'm just going to quickly go back to this green one now it's dried and give it a little bit of a vibrant red stripe down its tummy, just to break that area up. And just down to its tip of its tail. There we go. So while the blue one's drying, I'm just going to actually fussy cut around the rest of this dinosaur just so we get this cut out. You could also use the dies that are included, but I didn't want the white border running around this, so I just thought we'd do it this way. It's nice to have the choice, isn't it, though? And I know there's some seasoned fussy cutters out there that love it, but each to his own. So I'll just take that round. Just round its head. And just round his nose area there. There we go. Just going to move my paints out of the way now, and then we can start assembling some of these little eggs. So we know, like this little fella here, I want him coming out of this egg, like the crack line, so we know where we can position him, and then we can get him glued into position. So let's get this one glued together first of all. So a bit of glue on this. And we'll put a little bit of glue on the back of our friendly flying dinosaur. And I think the best way to do this is to actually insert it where you want it on the top first. So I'm happy with there. And then we can stick it down onto the actual black layer afterwards. There we go. So that one's flying out from that side. Let's get the yellow one. Same again, put the glue on the back of the egg. And then let's think about this one. So I reckon around about there. And we'll just glue that down. Make his head pop out. And what I could also do as well is, because his little tail's popping out there, I'll just get my scissors in now. I'm just going to make a slight crack cut there, just so we can see his tail a bit more. There you go, his little tail's popping out as well now, look. That's a nice little feature on that end egg. And then we've got these two here. These are like best friends, these two. So we're going to put one behind and one in front. And then get them glued into the egg like they're just coming through the top. So I think the best way to do this one is put a little bit of glue at the top of this bit. Put the blue one on first. So I think there's a good position. And then we'll have the little green one just popping in from the side there. Bless him. He had a roommate in that egg, didn't he? There we go. And then this little bit of shell can go on his head, like it's just come through there. So let's have a think. I probably think that's probably a better position. So let's get a little bit of glue on that. I'll put some at the front of him and some at the back. Give that a push down. There we go. Let's bring our card blank back in now. So we've got these two on the edge first of all, so let's get them secured into place, then we can work with the centre part afterwards. So I'm going to put these flat to the card. Isn't it a fun little card, this though? Something you can do with your kids. And it just shows you as well that you don't always need a sentiment as well on a card. So let's get them two facing that way, so they're kind of slightly outwards. On the centre one, I'm just going to bring in some foam tape. Will this back come off? Who knows? Let's pop that on there. And if you wanted to cover this up, you could always do like a black back like we did on the other ones. But I think it shows how a car's being made when you leave some of the workings out visible. Take that out. And then give that a bit of a curl. I'm going to put that one there in the centre. So that's a really simple way of doing that. And then I've just ahead of time just printed off some of these lovely boulders that you get in the kit as well. So they're all different shapes and they're scattered across all the 3 sets. I'm just going to use these to just get rid of some of these grey areas really. So we'll just tuck some of these in. So I'll put one right over there. You can see it's coming together now, isn't it? Just put a few under here. Just blow the next few up. And I've got this last one here. And there you go. It's just a lovely way of just like having a bit of play really with a bit of card. Really nice colours and using them stencils as well, which we've all got a stencil in the stash, and it's just a different way of using it. But a lovely Easter card, that one, and give that with a chocolate egg, of course, because that's tradition. I mean, we all need to do that. So hopefully you've enjoyed that card. I'll just grab the other one that we made earlier. And that's the other one that we made today as well. So 2 different cards, and it just shows you like your stamp sets never get retired. You can always bring them back out for a bit more inspiration and have a little bit more fun. So hopefully you enjoyed both of those cards today. Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again at the same time next week. So until then, see you later and goodbye.